everybody. So I wanted to get on here and follow up on my last video about Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, um, black male misogyny, sexism, racism, all the things that we obviously knew were going to get worse. Those of us who are, of course, politically astute, engaged, historically understand the history of racism, so on and so forth. Okay, let me tell you what I'm not fitting to do. All right, let me tell you what I'm not going to do. First of all, a lot of y'all in them comments, I will say next week is the Democratic National Convention, Monday, August 19th through Thursday, August 22nd. What is not going to happen is all these, I'm Trumper 2024. I don't care. I really don't. You don't have to stop by this channel. Stay out of black people's business. And a whole lot of y'all, the reason why I'm saying that is because, yes, I know there are some ignorant African Americans in my comments talking about I'm going for Trump. And black women are putting feminism before blackness. First of all, protecting black women, if that's the way you see it, there are plenty of other spaces in the black hotep sphere where you can go and make those comments all day. Here is not the place. Number two, some of y'all are not black and y'all think, I don't know. That's why y'all start up with the, I'm black and I'm voting for Trump. It's so obvious. All these other men, these incels, okay, that listen 4 minutes into my video and then think they can give their, I didn't even read all of the comments. Because it just started to get disgusting to me. And yes, I have blocked a couple of people. And when I say a couple, only two. And I will continue to do more. You can keep it moving. Okay? Because what we're not going to do is play those games. And her name is Kamala. Didn't I tell y'all? The consistent mispronunciation? The Vice President of the United States. Okay? Nancy Race, Republican from South Carolina, sat on CNN, not that CNN is something I watch on a regular basis or anything like that, sat on CNN and at a round table when they kept saying her name is Kamala, right? First of all, she should have just referred to her as Vice President Harris, okay? Madam Vice President would have sufficed. But no, when they do that, they're doing that actively, one, to try to denigrate black people by calling them by the wrong name. And when those two black men, Michael Eric Dyson, I forget the other man's name, who actually said something, and I'm not going to get into it, but nevertheless, who actually said, no, her name is Kamala. She was like, I'll call her whatever I want. If that's not connected to the history of racism and you don't get that automatically, I don't know what to do with you. And Michael Eric Dyson, regardless of my opinions of him, you know, I didn't even appreciate him saying, well, I'm sure you're a wonderful person. She's not a wonderful person. And then continue to explain, no, it's the history of white people owning black people, taking our culture, just trying to destroy it for the purpose of using our bodies to produce products and crops they could sell. It's known as ethnocide. So those of you in my comments, you don't read, you haven't done your research. What the fuck? Y'all motherfuckers ain't read a goddamn thing. And another thing, a little side note, okay, or footnote, for whoever's in my comments, well, there's a lot of cursing. You should really change your ways. Motherfucker, yes. My video is made for adults. I put everything that is on YouTube that goes public. It is not made for kids. I always have that button in terms of the way things show up. You don't have to listen. You don't have to like it. That is the greatness of the World Wide Web. You can keep going. Anyway, I'll call her whatever. She purposely kept mispronouncing it. And I know, and those are not microaggressions, those are macroaggressions. I can tell you, as someone whose name is Salah, I can't tell you how many people go, what? What kind of name is that? Like, it's always like this condescending kind of nastiness by white people and non-black people, and black people too. But it's not on the same level. I've seen them do it. I recently had that experience over the summer when I was working with other people, and this white man goes, what's your name? And I do the little something down. And I was like, it's Salah. He was the other history teacher. And he was like, what? I said, it's Salah. Oh, mind you, this motherfucker does not call me by my name for the rest of the time, despite how many times I corrected him. He referred to me as Miss Johnson, when my name is Dr. Johnson. When another colleague told him privately and in my face, Dr. Johnson in reference to me on purpose, he continued to do it. This Al Bundy motherfucker, who knows a few facts about history, is trying to denigrate me. And then proceeds to say, oh, do you know what your name means? I said, yes. Do you know what Greg means, motherfucker? There's a million Gregs in the world, whatever. He goes, oh, well, what does it mean? I said, it's the Hebrew translation, to pause and reflect from the Bible. He goes, oh, what character was that in the Bible? Motherfucker, I just explained to you the Hebrew translation. But that's what they do. Explain yourself, black person. Oh, she's not an American citizen. Same thing they did with Barack Obama. Show your papers. That's what they're saying to us. We don't belong here, and we don't have to respect you. And it's disgusting to me. And I can see through the bullshit. And I know sometimes when people get all rah-rah on the internet, some people go like this. And I get it, because you got to protect your mental health. But see, somebody like me goes like this. Because what I'm not going to do is let these racist, and then self-hating black people internalize white supremacy and belief, oh, I'm not voting for color. Nobody said we were voting for color. And my thing is, are white people not just voting for Trump just because now he's not Kamala Harris? The fuck out of here with that bullshit. And then I had an Indian American guy whose name, he didn't want us to call him by his full name. He said, my name is Nev, or whatever. And he said to me, he said, well, what's your name? And I said, Salah. He's like, what? And I said, Salah. He's like, oh. No, you caught it because you did it on purpose. And the hell with that. So when I see this shit, I'm telling you, I know what I'm looking at and hearing. And white people do too. White people get off. Like, black people do not have to explain racism to white people. They know what they say when we're not around. They know what they say on purpose to denigrate us. And then they do this racial gaslighting and have through the centuries. Haven't I been kind to you? Don't I pay you? Don't I give you a place to live, you slave? Like, all the shit white people have done. And then to turn around and act like when black people are angry about something, it's the same or it's equal. It's not. We don't have power in this country. Not structural power. Kamala, we talk about DEI hires. You want to know why she had to have Tim Walz or Josh Shapiro? She had to pick a white man. Because that's the way this country operates. What's going to happen if white people aren't in charge? If white people are anything? Give me a fucking break. It's disgusting. And it's problematic. And it's indicative that you don't read. Like somebody in my comments talking about some, obviously you haven't heard of Malcolm X, but he talks about the liberals. First of all, let me just make sure I get this together. Just so we on the same page here. I have read plenty of Malcolm X. This is an original. This is just an example of his speeches at Harvard. I have read plenty of Malcolm X, heard plenty of Malcolm X speeches. Malcolm X was referencing white liberals. And he never did that without juxtaposing it with white conservatives. How they just had the same racism essentially remixed in different forms. So to say that to me like, oh, well, Malcolm X, I know this is somebody who listens to sound bites on TikTok and Instagram and then uses it as a solid point. Get the fuck up out of here. And while we're on it, now I am somebody who stands firm in freeing Palestine. I do. That is a colonized state. What they are doing is well within the violent history of settler colonialism against brown people across the world. However, these eruptions of protests that have been happening all across the country. Someone did point out something that was important, and I forget his name, and please forgive me, because I did learn this from him on TikTok. I had never seen him before. But he was basically showing the structure of his argument that he had on Twitter or whatever. And somebody had made the point that, have you noticed these these pro-Palestine protests only keep showing up at Kamala's rally? They were not showing up with the same intensity at Joe Biden's. Now, we can look at this and say, hey, it's getting closer to the election. These same people, Trump is running for the same office. Trump, who allowed Putin to whose declassified documents and transcripts are available to the public, where he was asking and working with Vladimir Putin, leader of Russia, to interfere in our U.S. elections. Okay? That same person has not received these protests, and he's made it very clear. He's not interested in the ceasefire. He wants them all gone, referring to the Palestinians. But those people aren't showing up there. And then he's showing the man I was telling you about TikTok, says, okay, yeah, sure. I do stand with Palestine. Now, what are we supposed to do? Not vote and give somebody who's made it very clear they're here for the destruction of Palestine versus Kamala Harris. Somebody's like, well, we have a chance to actually influence Kamala Harris, this white woman that was arguing with him. And he said, that's the point. You're already admitting, even within that, while you say that you're not going to support her and voting for her, you're still saying that you go and protest her because you know you have a chance to actually engage with in conversation and perhaps change her to complete pulling out. And she is for a ceasefire and slowly, but you know politicians, they good with language, pulling out weapons support, despite her Jewish husband. But my thing is, even embedded in that, even when we talk about the number of people across college campuses that have been threatened, and people go, well, they seem really likely to do that at the Ivy League. Those people overwhelmingly are rich, they have money, they have resources, they have parents who can call and threaten the university. We saw it, okay, if something happens to their kids. Okay, some of us have to take our degrees and help our community. And don't have sometimes even what is a very sacrificial thing. People were doing it at Stone. People were doing it at Morehouse. People were doing it at Howard. But we still have to get up and go to class every day. We still have to live in a society that hates us. And those in denial about it, best of luck. But we can't afford to play these same games with people and hijack our vote. And that's my opinion. On my channel. And if you don't like the use of the word motherfucker, go on somewhere, because I use it. Now, what I'm also going to say, as I round out this video, I will see you all later for a review, which, you know what, actually, this is a great transition. We just got done talking about Donald Trump and everything else, 34-time convicted felon so far. And I will see you soon for another review of Love After Lockup. Maybe Melania will get a spinoff after this is all over. Anyway, see you soon.